The 2019 Flesh and Blood marketing booklet, this thing here, is a really great piece of Flesh and Blood history. I really love it. And I don't think a lot of people know much about it. So I wanted to go over the history as I know it and just give you a little bit of, crumbs in the middle and just, talk about it. But just to give a couple of important things in the beginning, I made a PDF copy of this whole booklet and I will put it in a link down below in the description of this video so you just download the booklet and read it whenever you want. I asked Legend Story Studios permission before doing that and making this video, so I made sure that they were cool with it, and they're very nice. They said, yeah, go for it, Bronson, you can put it out there. And honestly, I just want to put it out for historical purposes. This is a great read. There's a lot of cool things in this booklet that, I'll go into in a bit. But essentially, another thing is I appreciate any offers, but this is not for sale. I only have one in my possession, and it's too important to me to just put a price on and sell. So I appreciate any offers, but I'm really not looking to sell this piece. It's really important to me. And other than that, if you're a content creator or anyone out there who wants to talk about this in the PDFs and go for it, man. Please tell everyone the good word of what's in here. It's really cool. So without further ado, I just want to tell you the history. Now, this thing, right? This is a booklet. This was for local game stores to read through, right? And it was basically an introduction, right? It was saying, hey, we're Legend Story Studios. This is our flesh and blood, our product, and this is who we are. So this thing came, right, in the mail, in one of these, right? And it had a bunch of different product sheets, and also it had some posters. So I have Bravo here. I think it came with a couple other ones. I don't have the products or the other posters. Also comes with a product sheet. But ultimately, this was sent out at the end of 2019, from what I know, in New Zealand and possibly Australia. Because, 2019 October is when Welcome to Wrath Alpha came out. Now, in the US, this came possibly from like January through June 2020 is when it hit the States. And from from my recollection, what happened is James White called around to tons and tons of local game stores in that time period when Flesh and Blood was a little baby. It was a new company, and they had their first product out, Welcome to Wrath, and James was trying to get a bunch of sales, getting a bunch of game stores to just supply their product in the store. And he would make cold calls, and from I believe a Rudy video from a long time ago, as per Rudy, James White was getting a lot of stores just saying, no, we're not interested. We don't want to do your game. It's too new for us. It's too much risk. We can't do this, right? So they didn't. But I think the stores that were interested, James and LSS would send this to those stores. And it's quite possible that James sent these to stores that were just maybe just like, we're semi-interested, we're on the fence. I believe that's how it went about. He would have to really answer that, and that's up for historical interpretation. But long story short, these were sent out late 2019 to Australia and New Zealand, from what I know, and then early in 2020 through January through January through June 2020. The place that I got this, I got this off eBay a long time ago in 2020. And from what I recall, the person who sold it to me said, hey, the local shop got it in the mail. It came with 2 IRA welcome decks. And essentially, this was just like, given to them for free, right? And essentially what this is really trying to do is saying, hey, this is our product, this is our company, this is all we're about. And it's leading you to that first transaction, which is a hero deck box of Welcome to Wrath, or Alpha Welcome to Wrath booster boxes, if you can imagine. But to paint a whole picture, this was a time period where Flesh and Blood was not that popular. Legendary cold foils from Welcome to Wrath were going for like $50 a pop instead of like $1,500 to $3,000 a pop. So You get the math that was going on there. Is a brand. This was the bottom floor, folks, of the whole Flesh and Blood and its upbringing. It had a lot of grassroots in the beginning, and this is really kind of where it started. It was just sending these out to LGSs that were interested in supplying the game and putting their best foot forward and just presenting what they were selling. So I think that really wraps up the whole history of it. But it's really important to note that a lot of local game stores and a lot of stores in general just didn't want to carry Flesh and Blood. And I don't think it was because of the product, or I don't think it's because, they really tested it out to make sure and they just didn't like it. It's because that in that time period, you have to be very cognizant in 2020. Many game shops in general got extremely shafted by other failed TCGs in the past. And if you think about it, if they put in $2,000 to a new TCG and it goes belly up, you lost $2,000. That's a lot of money for a local game store. That's a lot of cash. And if it's dead inventory, it's just, it's not fun. So I think that so many game stores got so burnt in the past that they're like, I'm out. I'm only doing the big three and, a couple other things, but, that's it. And, it's sad to know that was the case. If you ask someone or a local game store now in 2023, I feel like they're so much more like interested in new TCGs and just like at least hearing people out and say, okay, tell me your pitch. Let me know what your product is about and everything. I feel like if Flesh and Blood released now, they'd have so much more reception because like, whoa, this is a really high class product and really, really great things to see from the studio. So that's just so important to note. So, two things like when we're looking in the past right now, early 2020, late 2019, remember Flesh and Blood had very much grassroots trying to reach out to these LGSs, and it was tough. And the reason why it was tough is because you had Keyforge and you had all these other games that just completely got wrecked, and these game stores lost hundreds, thousands of dollars, and just didn't see opportunity there, right? Now, I'm not saying all game stores said no, but a good portion of them. I believe 80 to 90% said no, which is crazy. But anyway, the others that didn't were sent this, from what I know. Going into the actual booklet. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I think the beginning part is very important. It has a couple other really nice things that I'll highlight. I'm not going to read the whole book here, but I think the first part is genius, right? In the front here, it says, oh, and before I read anything, I just want to note too, and note when you're reading this, right? There's a disclaimer at the front. It says like this booklet is for this time period only, and such. Things may tend to change, obviously. So if you're like, hey, they don't do that anymore, well, this is what they produced in the past, and things may have changed. Now, the Dear Retailer, right? This is beautifully written. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the biggest thing I think is cool is they basically said, hey, we've been in the business a long time. We understand the TCG industry. We understand you and your business, right? And they essentially start off and say, hey, we know what sucks about being a LGS, right? Say, now more than ever, we see LGS owners facing challenges to survive as publishers aggressively migrate consumers onto digital platforms. Mass market retailers are prioritized. Sounds familiar? And margins are under pressure through supply chain leaks of product into the gray market. The gray market is very interesting to me. So essentially, they basically listed three big things that stores are under pressure by, right? The margins, first off, because stores are going, digital, right? Digital online games are taking market share. You also have mass market retailers that are prioritized. CFB. And then margins are under pressure through supply chain leaks into the gray market, and that's a big thing. And essentially what that means, the gray market, so you have big investors in the background making deals with certain entities, getting product at distribution costs or store cost, and like not siphoning the money properly into the market. You know, you get this like big wallets make big plays, make big money, but also can like do things to the whole ecosystem, right? And I'm not saying anything's wrong or right. It's just that's what I think of when I hear the gray market. If you have any ideas of what the gray market is, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. But so Legend Story Studios says, hey, you know, this is the doom and gloom. But they say Legend Story Studios is founded on the belief that great games serve as a common language to bring people together to local communities, right? And they say, hey, you know, we're here to help. And I'm not going to read the whole thing again, but what I do like is they address the three things, so they know, hey, these three things are big for you guys as a local game store. This is what's hurting you. We know how you hurt, so we're going to try to make a commitment to you to alleviate that pain. They say, okay, our commitment to LGSs, margin integrity. We are addressing the gray market and regional price variations by selling direct to retailers globally. So they're saying, hey, gray market, this is our, you know, alleviation to that. We are a tangible product company. This is the second. We're a tangible product company. We want our customers purchase our products in your store. That second thing is addressing the digital thing. Saying, hey, fuck digital. We want people to go into your store. We are committed to making that happen. We see that that's important to you, and that's what gets, you know, people spend money in your store, is getting them in the store. We're gonna you know, be committed to doing that. And then thirdly, we prioritize retailers who provide environments for positive local game communities to exist. So that's essentially addressing the other part of mass retailers getting prioritizations. It's addressing that without like, you know, poking that subject, without saying, hey, you know, screw those people, we're gonna focus on the LGSs. It's like it's very beautifully written. But long story short, James White LSS, they basically are saying, hey, this is our commitment to you, the LGS, to alleviate the things that matter most to you. And honestly, I've been doing YouTube for a bit, and I'm going to tell you straight up, when I first started, I did not know diddly shit about what goes on in an LGS owner's head and how the whole thing works. And personally, I'm still learning. I've been doing this shit for 3 years, and I constantly listen to different LGS owners, and I'm trying to absorb things. I'm like a little sponge trying to like gain all those knowledge points. There's a lot of things that they deal with on a regular daily basis that you have no idea what goes on, and it's just a whole different world. It's a whole different oyster. It's very interesting. But long story, all I'm saying is that this is James White and LSS saying, hey, we understand you. We've been in this industry for a while. These are your biggest threats to your business. Essentially trying to, you know, relate to them. And then here are the 3 ways that we are going to commit ourselves to alleviating that hurt. So I really like that whole thing in the front. And what's cool too here is I actually took this to Worlds in San Jose and got James White to sign right here, right kind of next to his name. I thought that was really cool. I don't know, just really important to me. Going to other pages, I think I've you know, hit the nail on the head there. One of the biggest things I think this has, it's not on the Flesh and Blood website, is the design principles. Man, like, this is really cool. I'm not going to go into detail, but the design principles, the 4 ones: start full, reduce variance, every card counts, and reward good decisions, not good luck. And I think that's very beautiful. It's very beautifully written, and it's really great to see that they have like a, you know, a guidepost of, hey, this is how we make cards and this is what's important to us. Because we've seen them in the past with Drone and Brutality, like, hey, this kind of violates number 4. it's not a good decision. Like, if you're just going to block with the drone because you have it, and it's just never going to go away, you know? So we've seen them stick to their design principles in the past, and I think it's very beautifully written. Other things here are product kits. Now, basically, that they told you about, you know, their design principles. They're saying, hey, this is the products we sell. And then going into organized play. This is cool. It has a bunch of stuff there. I think the collectability section is a very good read. It just really, I gotta read it. So it says collectability is a cornerstone of our new classic TCG vision. A return to the golden age when TCGs were coveted as collectibles, not commodities. Our artisans have poured their hearts and souls into creating cards that are objects of desire, and our scarcity demon has decreed that the highest rarity fab cards shall not be plentiful to humankind. It's a really funny. It's very interestingly worded there. I love how they describe the creators of cards as artisans, because it's very true. If you look at all the subtle details and Flesh and Blood, when they show an orc, they're not just showing an orc. When they show a little tree, they're not just showing a tree. There's always depth to cards, which I love. Like when you see the good deeds don't go unnoticed cards, which I still need to send a couple of these out to some patrons. You see the little meep in the background who's giving a little trinket to the man, who the man is giving an apple to the granny. Like, that level of depth of cards, I think, is very... You see it a lot in Flesh and Blood. There's a lot of meaning into it. It's not just like a card. So they have a lot of depth, and they do put a lot of work into crafting a great card. So I really like that. Then they say, we want fans to be proud of their collections like a treasure worth protecting, fondly looked upon as a symbol of their toil and sacrifice it took to hunt down and acquire. And, collectability is an important part of a game, man. I'll tell you what. I thought that was cool. I thought World Championship 2020, there's a schedule here. I think I missed that event in 2020. But other than that, at the back it says just order now. You got this product sheet as well, which I thought was really good. The big point of this is it says the margins, right? The margin integrity is what I told you earlier. That's what they were pointing at, 40% margins. And that's really important. I mean, if you think about Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, the margins are smaller. They're like, 10%? Some probably lower in some cases, because they have a backing and they're less risk. Now, Flesh and Blood, they're just saying out of the gate, hey, we understand your margins are low for a certain product. Yeah, okay. They don't say this, but like, hey, this is more of a riskier product. Margins are higher to manage that risk. So I think it's really important of them to say, like, hey, this is the margins that you're going to get on your product. It's relatively very high compared to others in the industry currently. And I think there's a really good interview with James White. I think it was more of a presentation. I think Binder POS did a interview with him, or he did a presentation for them that was more of, he was talking about the margins and how to run a business if you're an LGS. It was a very, very good presentation. I definitely highly recommend watching it. But in that, he really just emphasized the importance of margins. Like, hey, like, you can get a lot more money if you're making more money per product. So that was you can see that bleed over from, this presentation here. I think that's really about it. I put the PDF down below again on the description of this video so you can download it, read through it. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. It is a great read, very cool piece of history. Something to note is, again, I appreciate any offers, but this is just too important. I don't want to get rid of it at this time. I want to keep this private for a very, very, very long time. The only thing I think I have left, if you're listening this long, is really the collectability aspect of this whole sheet. Now, something to note is this is a marketing booklet. So you can assume that many of these were created. I do not know the print run of a marketing booklet. It's very hard to know that. I spent, I think, $150 at the time. Very good deal, I thought. At the time, it was tough because it was the beginning of the game, and nobody knew how many were out there. I haven't seen too many of these pop up on the open market. I don't think I've seen too many at all in the last 2 years. That they may exist, but I'm not sure. The biggest thing to note too is like Legend Story Studios could have like boxes of these things in the closet in their studio, being like, well, nobody wanted it, so we didn't give them. But they could give them out in the future at different events, or who knows how many there are. I would highly recommend anyone to not put a price on it. It's really hard, man. It's just there's too many factors. The biggest one is attrition. I think that there's a good amount of stores and LGSs that took the pamphlet, they read through it a little bit, they chucked it out because it just came in the mail, right? How high is that attrition? Who knows? How many were initially printed? Big question mark. Unless James White and LSS released said information, I think speculating and trying to see with that it's hard. But ultimately, I just think it's a cool piece of the history. And again, if there's any content creators out there who read through it and are like, oh, I want to make a video about it, do it, please. Make a video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about the booklet in 2019. It's a really great read. Very, it's just top notch, man. When you look at Legend Story Studios compared to other games, and I'm highly biased, but it's just the professionalism and just the quality and just the polish, man. They just have so much polish on everything they do, and I think that that's the key to their success, right? Is a really damn good product. And just not only a really damn good product, but everything they do. If you look at their website, it's very well, put together. If you look about everything else they do with their articles and what have you, you can see the effort to put a lot of polish and quality in what they do. And this is as well. This doesn't come short of high quality. This is very high quality. You see that there's different things here. There's a small kid, and then there's a hero person with the sword, in the shadows and everything. It's a really cool thing. I mean, you can see there's hidden things in the mix of the artwork. It's just really cool, and it's just a really it's a really neat piece of history. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about the marketing booklet. It's just a really cool thing, and I don't think many people out there in the Flesh and Blood community know that of its existence in history. So hopefully this shed a good amount of light on it. Cheers, man. Have a good one.